against our own people. Like they went as far as they tried to accuse an officer that we were just trying to cover up for each other. And it's like, everything is on body cam. Like, what are we going to cover up? We're not trying to cover anything up. It's not our fault that this guy had a knife, that he was high on meth and he was drunk.
Welcome back, viewers, watchers, listeners. I'm your host, Tyler Owen.
And Clint McNear.
What's going on, El Presidente?
No, just flew in this morning. Just drove in this morning.
I was about to say, well, you probably did fly in.
Following the speed
I have
limit.
ridden with you before.
Following the speed limit. Just drove in. All's good, man. Things are busy. Watching the Social Security Fairness Act for the WEP GPO, and was in D.C. last week trying to work on that a little bit.
So the hashtag, what's the hashtag FOP is using right now? The
Repeal the steal.
So Clint and I are on a text thread together. It's just me and him, but we handle a lot of the Texas FOP social media. And so he had posted something online, and this is just a banter between, colleagues and brothers. But I texted him, and I was like, hey, did you mean to put the steal? Like, I didn't understand. My little dumbass brain, I didn't understand what the hell he was talking about, and I haven't been really keeping up with it. But for those that don't know, that's what the hashtag is meaning, and the repeal the steal is meaning that they're wanting the Social Security back. But it was funny because I sent you the text, and I was like, hey, did you mean to put this in there? And you could tell, like, there was a long pause of like, oh, I have to deal with idiots someday. And so he finally responded back and explained what you meant. So I appreciate it.
It's a fair question. I'd rather,
my bad.
I'd rather be questioned than be allowed to screw up.
Well, I didn't know what the hell you were talking about. I was like, maybe Brock and him were busy doing something, and I didn't understand like what the hell he was talking about. So anyway, it was pretty funny.
We got Brock in the
We
studio.
do have Brock in the studio. Our Forney High School graduate of class of 2025, Brock McNear, is here with us today. Yeah.
Hey, from the WEP GPO, there's a lot of questions. People don't understand what it is. WEP is windfall elimination, and GPO is government pension offset. And what it is, police, fire, teachers, postal carriers, about 40 years ago, legislation was passed so that we don't get full Social Security as everyone else does. We get penalized for that. And what really hit home yesterday, I was visiting with my dad about it. My dad did 34 years at Dallas PD, and he was asking me about it, and he was quite crusty about it.
Your dad?
He was crusty.
That's shocking.
His $1,200 a month Social Security that he should receive is $94.
Oh, wow. Damn.
So whereas everybody else, I guess that matches his criteria, is getting $1,200. He gets, his check is $94, and that hit home that he chose a career in law enforcement and is getting penalized $1,100 a month.
That's crazy
for choosing to do that. So that's the passion behind it. Everybody's seen it on Twitter. Is all the discussion in the arenas of police and fire and the teachers and everybody. And God bless our teachers, because they should be paid more and taken better care of for sure too. But that's WEP GPO Cliff Notes version. Well, and today, this won't air today. Today is Friday. Today's Friday?
Yeah.
Friday's the 20th?
Yeah, sure.
And it's going to be voted today or tomorrow. It's passed the House, overwhelmingly bipartisan, shockingly. It's in the Senate. It's passed a cloture vote. Last night it passed a motion to proceed vote. Today, late or in the morning, will be discussion where Senator Cruz is going to introduce an amendment to try and kill it. Senator Crapo is going to introduce an amendment to try and kill it. Senator Grassley is going to introduce a poison pill to try and kill it. But
we're hopeful.
We're hopeful, and we were supposed to only have about 60 votes on it.
We're hopeful.
And we've gotten 73 ayes.
Any politicians promised to vote for it? Or do we
no, but we've had some people say no. They were dead set no. And when President-elect Trump told FOP National President Pat Yoes in Mar-a-Lago, meeting in person about 3 days ago, that he thought it was a good bill and it better pass, suddenly some of our no votes were yes votes.
Oh, wow.
And I'm thankful for it. A huge kudos, because he's been great to work with. Senator Cornyn.
Yeah.
Was very concerned about it, and he's voted yes. He's voted yes so far, and every vote to support. And it comes down to everybody wants to come to Texas and get their picture made with a cop. But when it gets down to it, Are you actually supporting the police, or do you just like your picture taken with us?
Well, those endorsements need to be repaid at some point. So,
Yep.
Anyway, speaking of change, our guest today, Michael Bullock, Austin Police Association president. The Michael Bullock is in the house. So, first off, thank you for stopping by. I know that you're quite the busy man. I always see you on Twitter and doing videos and eating lunch with Jose Garza, and so I'm glad that you took the time out of your busy schedule.
Yeah, #1 lunch buddy.
There. That's right. I'm glad that you took the time out of your busy schedule to stop by. A lot of changes going on at Austin POA. For the good. You guys are on an uphill battle right now with different situations, so we wanted to come on and kind of give everybody an update with the contract, new police chief. I mean, there's a lot of shit going on in Austin. So
my first question is, when do you sleep?
What's that? What's sleep?
Yeah, what is
when
sleep?
do you sleep?
Nah.
At 1 o'clock in the morning.
Don't. Yeah. Yeah. It's not so much sleep as much as it is intermittent naps is basically what you're operating off of.
All right.
Took a nap the other day for the first time. It was great.
Yeah?
I never got up. I slept all the way through from like 4 o'clock in the afternoon to 7 o'clock the next morning. It was awesome.
Good Lord.
That's the nap I'm talking about.
I think they call that passing out.
Yeah. It was. I needed it clearly.
Clearly, I'd say so.
Yeah. But
Hey,
anyway,
those are good ones.
yeah, they are. Yeah.
Angels Envy will do that to
Yeah,
you.
well, they also make you piss the bed. We're not going to dive into that. So, but yeah, man, thanks for stopping by.
Yeah.
Let's kind of crank off to last time you were here. There was, not that this situation's changed, but there is a district attorney here in Travis County that's not really pro law enforcement. And so, I know it's shocking to everybody.
That's the most mild description I think I've
Yeah,
ever heard.
yeah. But I think that he is trying to get back to center, or so he claimed, and then we had the Christopher Taylor trial. So there's a lot that's happened since you came on the first time. So if you want to start off by giving us kind of an update of how that relationship is going with the DA's office, what you see moving forward, and then kind of give us an update on what's going on the criminal aspect and how your officers' morale's doing.
Yeah, it's been a busy year.
Yeah.
It's been almost exactly a year, I think, since we did this last, but there's been a lot going on. Yeah, in just a year. But the DA, that relationship, shockingly, is no different than it was about a year ago.
What?
I know, it's just the craziest thing. Probably doesn't help all the stuff that I've been doing, talking about him either. Not sure he loves my videos about him or talking about all the things he's actually let happen. So that doesn't seem like it's won him over as a friend either.
I think he's like Jerry Jones, though.
Think so?
Bad press is still press.
You're still saying my name.
Yeah, you're still saying my name, and
That was what a guy at the Capitol used to tell me all the time. He was like, "Hey, as long as they spell my name right, it's good press. Works for me."
Yeah.
So
Ask Chris Rock about how to keep a name out of somebody's mouth. Will Smith didn't appreciate it.
yeah, yeah. So it's been a busy year for a lot of different aspects. The Chris Taylor trial that just kind of all wrapped up. That one was even more eye-opening because you get to hear, and I sat through the entire thing. We were there for every little bit of it. And
For those that don't know, because you may not understand what for those that live in Austin know
Yeah.
it, explain from kind of sort of cliff notes of start to finish of kind of what happened and then what ended up happening with the trial.
So Christopher Taylor is officer with the Austin Police Department, obviously. He was involved in two officer-involved shootings, one that happened back in 2019, and then one that happened back around, I think it was 2020, 2021 is when the second one happened. We had a trial last year for one of those shootings, and it was one that happened involving a suspect named Mike Ramos, and that became part of our 2020 protest too. So I want to say that one did happen all around
Also on the
2020.
heels of essentially getting Garza elected, and that's a lot of fueled that. So
there were a lot of issues with that first trial to begin with, where we had jury tampering, we had a mistrial, and then we had a hung jury that came up with all of that one. So that one wound up kind of getting resolved, and then we got word that one was going to be dismissed. So the trial that we just went through was for a shooting where Taylor and other officers responded to a condo complex here in Austin, and it was a guy that was wandering around acting erratic, had a knife. And so they got word that he was up on a common floor within a condo complex. And so they go up to this, up to the gym floor is basically what it was. They go up to that floor to go make contact with him because they could see on a security camera, hey, he was wandering around in this common area and he's got a knife. Kind of an important thing that we get there to, get there quickly. Yep. So they go up in the elevator. They go up in the elevator. The doors open and the guy's standing like 10 feet ish away from them, less than 10 feet. He turns around. He was holding the knife to his neck, but then he turns around, he lowers the knife, and it's pointed at them, and then he starts walking towards them. And then they're yelling commands at him. He doesn't comply. He keeps walking at him. And when he's within about 3 feet is when they wind up shooting him. And so
way closer than
that's a
21-foot rule, right?
That's a lot of restraint to let someone get that close.
And timeout, last year's trial, I don't know if you mentioned this or not, it was found he was not guilty. It's a huge breaking news.
It was a hung jury.
That's okay. Hung jury.
It was a hung jury.
Right.
So they wound up ultimately saying, the DA said ultimately he was going to dismiss it. They took it back to a grand jury for the original one, and they opted not to indict again, which was shady enough to decide, I'm going to take it back to a grand jury and see if we can go at this another way.
Yep.
And so this was basically round 3 of going through a trial for Taylor. A ridiculous amount of stress that goes with all of that.
Yep.
But
not just him or your people.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Like Austin police officers too.
Everybody's watching this trial because it has huge consequences for us, right? Major impact from morale and just job stability. Like, am I going to be the next one? What kind of calls are we going to? All of that. But they originally indicted Taylor on this one, the downtown shooting for murder, but then they lowered it to deadly conduct. And for especially those in Texas that are probably familiar, deadly conduct is a very broad statute. And one, it was never intended for what the DA used it for. It was intended primarily for like drive-by shootings.
Very similar to official oppression, just throwing it out there.
Yeah. And so
Sorry.
Nice subtle hint.
Yeah.
So he wound up using that statute to go after Taylor. And after hearing everything, and the assistant district attorneys, like their strategy and the way they treated our officers is pretty disgusting. Like listening to the accusations that they made against our own people, like they went as far as they tried to accuse an officer that we were just trying to cover up for each other. And it's like, everything is on body cam. Like, what are we going to cover up? We're not trying to cover anything up. It's not our fault that this guy had a knife, that he was high on meth and he was drunk, and then
y'all framed him. Sounds like y'all framed him.
I know, right? Like that's what they
shot him up.
Yeah, that's what
no pun intended.
That's what they tried to portray it as. Like, and they just kept coming after the department, after officers, and it, like I said, it was pretty despicable what they were doing.
In any other overreach, perverting the law, because that, like you said, deadly conduct. At Garland in the early 90s, and the gangs were big, deadly conduct was a huge charge because that's what we had for drive-bys.
Y'all had gangs in Garland?
Allegedly.
Oh, okay. All right.
Allegedly.
Just clarifying that
But
point.
we did away with the gang unit so that people wouldn't think that we had gangs, and so that fixed it.
Well, that's what we did in Austin. It's fine. Oh,
if you don't have a gang unit, you can't have gangs.
But what's crazy is like they Austin has like-minded people. Like what I mean by that is like Garland, right? The cops in Garland and the DA's office, people that work there are like-minded in the sense of like the mentality behind the DA's office. They live in Austin, right? And so there's a different culture here, but the culture amongst the police officers here are very much similar to like they like the lifestyle of Austin. Like the lifestyle of Austin is what it is.
right.
And so what's crazy is like some departments, like when I was in East Texas, the mentality there is a little bit different than you would like an Austinite. These are the same people that you're walking the halls with in the same criminal justice centers and the courthouse. And why are we so against each other when we're working towards the same common goal? That's my point. It's crazy.
But in the point I was saying, they're perverting deadly conduct because that's not what it was. They're overreaching. They're making it sound like it was this big RICO conspiracy that you guys plotted to go do this. But if the tables were turned and they were saying that we overcharged someone or we perverted a law just so that we could over-prosecute someone, we would get indicted and criminally prosecuted for it.
Yeah.
For exactly what they're trying to do to every officer-involved incident that comes down here.
Yeah.
The law didn't apply exactly, but let's pervert it or let's try and do something. Or in the law that applies, we know we'll never get an indictment, so we don't want to use that one.
Right. Well, and then you start getting into, and this is where it just gets infuriating for law enforcement and a lot of other folks in Travis County that don't agree with the DA in particular, is the hypocrisy of it all, right? Because I started digging through. And there is multiple cases where someone is charged with deadly conduct and nothing happens with it, or
Yeah,
they
you
get
tweeted it yesterday. Had a huge burn. Talk about that.
Yeah, and the most recent example, obviously, is that we had Daniel Perry. Right, he went through a trial, and the governor pardoned him, but now they're going back, and it looks like I went back and dug through the case a little bit, because this one is there's two different versions, right? There's the misdemeanor and the felony version of deadly conduct, and so they're going after him now on the misdemeanor version. So they're using the county attorney's office to go after him, so that way it's a different charge, it seems like. And it looked like it initially got dropped as part of his original part and everything else, because there's like no activity on the case, but then they picked it right back up, and now they're pushing forward again. It's like, you already went through the trial, the governor pardoned him, but no, we can't have that here in Travis County. Let's go for round 2.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening to the cops, too.
You can't be embarrassed, yeah.
And if this fails, then write him a ticket for disorderly conduct or something. By God, we have to get something.
Yeah, you have to do something, and they'll give you the maximum penalty for that one.
The interesting thing about all that is the same law firms handling both of those cases that they got embarrassed on.
Mm-hmm.
That's the fascinating part about it all. Mm-hmm. They got their number, and so now they're trying to weaponize the law essentially to prove a point.
And that's exactly what it is. Like, it's weaponizing the law, it's weaponizing the system against law enforcement. Whereas if you're actually a dude, some bad guy that's wandering out there committing crime, hurting other people, shooting at other people, committing all this violent crime, they need to be reformed. We need to be lenient. We need to, do whatever we can to avoid charging them, punishing them, all this other kind of stuff. But if you're a cop, by God, like, we're going to bring everything we have to the table. Yeah. And one of the more interesting things too that I saw, it kind of hit my desk a couple weeks ago, right after the Taylor trial, the sentencing period ended, is when, or right towards the end, it may not have been when it was quite finished, but there was another case where there was a guy that was arrested for homicide and got picked up. And then he was being held in the Travis County Jail on like $1 million bond. Well, because the DA's office was so focused on Taylor, and they had given, like, there were 4 assistant district attorneys in the courtroom pretty much at any given time, more than what happens on other regular homicide trials for people who are actually out there wandering around killing people for no reason. Because they were so focused on Taylor, they weren't ready to go to trial on this homicide case, and so they had passed a window, and the bond got reduced from $1 million to $1.
Wow.
So you want to talk about neglect of duty and wrong priorities. Like, this guy is so focused on prosecuting cops that he completely ignored another homicide trial, and the guy's bond got reduced to $1.
My new favorite word is lawfare.
Lawfare.
The weaponization of the law lately, the last year, the last 18 months, there's examples everywhere, but it's insane.
Yeah.
It's out of control.
It's insane. And you hit on hypocrisy. For whatever reason, Austin's the capital of it. You have Kazar, who hates the police, wants them defunded.
We're good friends with him.
And then asks for extra patrol.
House,
Good shit. After he says that y'all are too violent and you don't need police around. Then he wants extra patrol. Then you have our district attorney, who does everything he can to indict the police, and then subversively wants
his own private security detail.
Taxes the citizens for his own personal detail
after they tried to hide the original costs.
Yes.
And like, oh, no, we can't disclose all that information about how much it would cost us to do all of this.
Well, and his wife, being the fact of what she holds the position of being the secretary to the county judge, they tried to withhold that information. And you can't tell me right now that there was not some shady shit that went on with that deal. Yeah. Then you got the city council, what they called. I think they called her Mackenzie Kelly the police whore, or they named her. I mean, like, the hypocrisy in Austin's there. It's very alive and well.
So bad.
Because how dare she support the police?
Oh, my God. My goodness. Yeah. I mean, we are the enemy, obviously.
Yes. So stupid. It's crazy.
It's been wild. He has given us, the DA in particular, has given us no shortage of material to post on social media. That's for sure.
Well, I think I'm about to get ramped back up. We had kind of taken a little bit of break because for those that don't know, I'll just go ahead and say it. I don't give a damn. I was at the UT game and ended up running into him. So
that's not what you're embarrassed to talk
No,
about.
no. Yeah, hook
game.
them. Big game this weekend, by the way. I hope they beat the shit out of Clemson. But anyway, I'm at the orange and white game, and Janet walks up, my wife. She's like, "Hey, you're not gonna believe this." I'm like, "What?" She's like, "Jose Garza's here," and I was like, "What?" I'm not gonna say anything. It's Saturday. I'm drinking, and so the more I drank, the more comfortable I got. I walk up to him, and he turns around, and I'm like, "Hey," I said, "Mr. Garza," and I tapped on his shoulder, and he turned around. He said, "Oh, Tyler Owen," and I was like, "Holy shit, this guy knows who I am. I do exist, you know." And he's like, he said, "Yeah, I'm a big fan of all your videos." Being a smart ass, joking around, and so we talk very briefly, but he continues to go back to just how all these policies and so forth. And look, when it's my time off, my family, it's my time off. And so all I wanted to do is just for him to put a face with a name. And that's exactly what I told him. I said, I just wanted to let you know I'm not a keyboard warrior. This is what I look like. This is who I am. Well, the whole time he's telling me this, I look back and his son and my son are playing together.
Oh.
So I said, "Yeah, what the hell are you doing up here anyway?" And he's like, "Oh, my son, blah, blah, blah." And I look back, and that time I see my son playing with his, and I said, "I'll be damned."
Yeah.
And he's like, "What's that?" I said, "The fact that our kids are playing together in Austin, Texas right now." And he changes the conversation. And I said, "Listen, it's Saturday. How about we be fucking dads today? And then Monday we can pick back up being enemies."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Okay." Well, then that progressed, and we got a meeting. That I don't want to say this on camera, but you were invited to, but then he withdrawed and wanted to just to be Tmpa. So you and him obviously don't see eye to eye. But
no.
We were going for the simplicity of trying to strengthen law enforcement relationships and so forth, and it's been beneficial, but it's progressed. And so we're meeting once a month, but I haven't met with him since the Christopher Taylor trial.
Yeah.
We meet at a little place and have breakfast and candlelights, and it's been nice.
Yeah. Set the mood.
Set the mood.
Yeah.
For the scream.
I've offered to meet with him. I've offered to meet with him several times. I still offer, if for whatever reason he listens to any venue, any podcast, any media interview, whatever, I will very gladly meet at any time, because I'm like you. I have no problems talking about these things face to face. I'm not also going to hide my discontent.
And what's fascinating is like he asked me during a meeting one time. He said, "What do you think? How do I get back to center? How do I get back to where the police can respect me at least?" And I was like, "Well, that's a long road." I was like, "But jump in a car, get in a car with these guys and gals, and look at what they do every single day. You have the 30,000 view from where you're at in your office very comfortably because you're safe and sound because of Austin police officers. But if you actually get into a squad car and do ride-alongs, that's where the relationship."
Won't do that.
Well, I mean, he hasn't yet, but
he's got an invite. I'll take him out. We can go right out.
yeah,
He won't do that.
Well,
He
I
doesn't
mean,
want
but
to see the truth.
well,
that's true.
I mean, that's his call. But
Yeah.
I'd take him out. I've taken a lot of people out.
All right, Garza, I'm personally challenging you to take Michael up on that. He won't do it, but I will.
Hey,
I'm personally challenging you. Go right out.
there you go. The offer's there. I'll do it. I got
Not
no
on a
problems with it.
Sunday at noon.
Yeah.
Not on a Sunday at noon.
We're going to go work a Friday night, a
Yes.
Saturday night. Like
Yes.
We're going to go do it when it's busy.
And Tmpa will provide the vest. That way, there's no, if something were to happen,
it's not on me.
it's not on Austin Police
you.
Association. Yeah, absolutely.
you.
I'm thinking outside the box here.
I appreciate that.
I'm thinking like a politician.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's dangerous.
Is it
but,
a knife-proof vest in case they come across somebody with a knife?
Huh?
Just a question.
I mean, I'd say it's a valid one.
Just a question.
We could get. We were
maybe.
contemplating buying chainmail now. Maybe we should start issuing chainmail for the department.
That's awesome. Well, it's so complex, and every time I see something that he puts out, boasting about some kind of conviction that he's got, it makes me cringe. And so it just sucks because you guys are trying to do good job, and which they do, but it's a challenge that Austin Police have to go through.
Yeah,
on top of the other
infuriating.
situation that you got going on with the recruitment and retention. But what else is going on with APA beside the debacle at the DA's office and the relationship there?
What's it contract?
Well, I was going to say, on the positive side, after 7 months of negotiating, again, round 2, 3, whatever this one was, we finally have a contract. We are back under contract, and it's been nice. It's like finally a moment where you can kind of take a little bit of a breath and have one big task done. It was quite the task to get it done, but
Was that majority of the council? Well, obviously, duh. I'm an idiot, but I'm talking about were there lone council members that did not agree?
There was one lone council member, one Zoe Kadri,
Oh.
decided that he did not want to support the contract. Everybody else did. He did not. And even more ironic was that it's his district that showed up the most in favor of the contract.
No kidding.
I know. And then it's also his district that was the most vocal about the importance of a contract. His one, like downtown, which is the area that he
But doesn't he
represents.
represent his district?
So he says.
Okay.
So he says.
Just
So
trying to understand.
you got me as to his logic and all of it, because he was the first one to speak. He was the first one to speak on, when they started taking a vote, and he said he felt like it didn't, and he had heard from his constituents that it didn't match the priorities of his district, and
Didn't
was
match
like,
his agenda is what it boiled down to.
that's probably more appropriate
Sorry.
because we for the first 3 hours of that hearing was nothing but business owners and residents, primarily in downtown, saying, hey, this is really important. We need, we're suffering as a result of not having enough cops, of not being able to deal with thefts that are occurring at stores, property being damaged at apartment complexes, hotels, all that other kind of stuff. And apparently that had no impact on him. And so he was the lone vote that said no, he didn't support the contract.
Wow.
Everybody else did. And it took a lot of work to get the contract done. But ultimately, we came to a solution and to a version that really did. It matched. It was the middle ground, right? It wasn't all to one side. No one really walked out being like, "Hey, we got everything we want. We gave them the shaft on all this." That did not happen, right? It was a fair and balanced contract.
That's how negotiations go.
That's how
give and take.
That's how it's supposed to work.
That's awesome.
So, but definitely perk. We've dealt with a lot of crap over the last 4, 5, 7 years, really, since 2017. And so getting past all that is a huge moment, and it wound up being, it is one of the biggest, actually, I think, according to our negotiator, Ron DeLord, it was the biggest contract in Texas history.
Yeah. The Dawn.
Yeah. So
When was that last council meeting where they were going to try and ratify a contract, and it was like a 20-hour Jerry Springer episode?
2023.
That was February of 23, I think.
I was in California, and the instructor, I was proud to be, me and Mike Gomez were the only two in the entire audience of probably 250.
He's never called me and cried. This was a moment.
This was the
he
moment.
called. I literally had to talk him off the list.
There's only two of us from Texas in there, and we're kind of laughing that we're the only two guys that have it good in life.
Mm-hmm.
And the president,
So you thought.
former president of Oakland, POA, Irish guy. I'll think of his name in a minute. Freaking amazing dude. He gets up and hits a button, and it's a montage.
Mm. Oh,
And
it's
from
from
that night.
our council meeting.
And it almost looks like a SNL skit.
Oh, I'm sure
because
it
can't
did.
possibly be real.
Oh, but
And
it
it goes on, and it gets worse and worse.
Yeah.
And I'm looking around, and all these California cops, literally from all over California, are like, "Oh."
Yeah.
And he goes, "Guys, let's thank God we're not from Austin. Let's thank God we're not from Austin, Texas."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh my God!" I'm trying to crawl under the table. So
Yeah.
he starts telling them about y'all's current contract situation, and all of them on the break are like, "Man, thank God we're not from Texas." And I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
"Dude, when California is thankful they're not from Texas,
Yeah.
we're in a bad way."
Yeah, I went to a conference earlier this year, and it was one, some of the larger cities from all across the country. And you stand up, you do a little intro, say who you're from, all this, or where you're from, all that other kind of stuff. And it's always it's borderline shaming because you stand up and it's like, hey, I'm Michael Bullock, I'm from Austin. And they're all like, ooh, right? Everyone's like, it's just this sigh of pity for you.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I can imagine.
and then you start hearing, and it's New York and it's LA and it's Oakland. Also all these guys that are around the room, and it's like, why are they pitying me?
Yeah, that's pitiful, dude.
I'm like, this is shameful. I
I'm
don't like
Michael.
this.
I'm from Austin.
Yeah.
I'm
This is
Michael.
water,
Yeah,
by the way.
I'm recovering.
This is water, not vodka. Just
Sure. Whatever you say.
Well,
We wouldn't blame you if it was.
No, and who gives a shit? It could be vodka, and it's just not Angel's Envy.
Yeah.
2-year contract,
5.
5-year
Oh, yeah.
contract,
5-year
outstanding.
contract. It is the longest contract we've ever had. largest contract we've ever had.
Rumors had it Kazar was supportive of that.
Well, that would indeed be a rumor.
Yes.
As far as I'm aware. He didn't call and tell me.
Yeah.
Shockingly enough.
Maybe we can arrange that.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe Kazar can come on and talk about the pro-police aspects
Hey,
of things.
Hang on, I'm going to hold my breath.
Again, we're not opposing that. Like
No, I
welcome
got a
it.
text message from him the other day, and he said, I mean, it was a campaign one. He wasn't texting me directly, but, you know, I got a text from him the other day saying that he was going to do a town hall or whatever, asking for support, so that way they can support workers' rights. We're pro-worker,
that's
agenda.
Did you get warm inside and feel like yes, take the charge?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I got all the warm and fuzzies, just like I did the last time I listened to one of his teletown halls or whatever, and he starts talking about all these union rights, all this other kind of stuff, but then one word gets mentioned about cops, and for some reason his tone changed. It's kind of odd.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Well,
it's kind of weird.
We're excited that the contract's up and going. 5-year contract, significant for any type of law enforcement. But you got that going on. What else is going on with APA? I mean, you guys, again, you got a turbulent relationship with the DA on his part, and then you got a contract going, which are both positives. But you guys are still 700 down.
Yes.
700 or 800 down on paper for what you guys are slotted for. So y'all just Ben Mewis and
yeah.
they had
Scott Baldridge.
Scott Baldridge. They had a huge run of success. What was it called?
Rio to Red.
The Rio to Red.
Yeah,
Phenomenal run every single day. 25. I think they did 28 miles a day each
On
day.
purpose.
Yeah,
On
I know.
purpose. Yeah.
I know. It's wild. Oh, I
Raised some good
question-
money, though.
Yeah, I
Raised
question
some
their
good money.
sanity all the time,
Yeah.
but
Great
they keep
guys.
doing it.
Great
They're
guys.
awesome folks. They did a lot of good stuff. They've done a lot of fundraisers. This one was a cool one.
Yep.
You know, they ran all the way from the Rio Grande River to the Red River. Yeah, and they just like marched on.
Mm-hmm.
Like they soldiered on through the whole thing, and it was really cool to see. So I ran with them.
Through Austin?
for a chunk. Yep, through Austin. Not all the way
Sweet,
through
man.
Austin.
Not all the way.
I
I was trying to throw you out there, man.
No, I appreciate it, but I know my place. I am not the runner. Okay, like I stuck with them for as long as I could. Started south of downtown, and I did make it to north of downtown.
When y'all ran, I think y'all were carrying a Texas blue line flag. Or is that correct?
So through Austin, they were carrying flags that had the names of all the officers that have been killed in the line of duty. So for
Austin.
In Austin,
Yeah.
yeah. So for every mile, we switched out the flag for a different officer.
Wow.
For the listener out there, they have this ideology that everybody in Austin hates cops, right? Talk about the support that y'all got, because I heard it was pretty phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
of coming through Austin, and that right there is a testament of what the city truly is.
Yeah, no, it was great. We had a lot of people that turned out. It was especially cool. Like a lot of other officers came and ran with them as well. Even when we did get out of Austin, they wound up in Round Rock, all these other cities. People kept running with them. We did have some folks from the public that showed out. Van Zandt Apparel, they were huge supporters.
Yes.
They donated the gear. They gave them custom shirts. They did stuff for the Peace Officers Memorial Foundation. So like it was a lot of support for it. A lot of great people turned out, and just to see the folks that are willing to help us continue to honor people who were killed in the line of duty was, it was huge, very powerful to see.
We just talked about it a while ago. I mean, y'all built some great relationships. There's a guy that many of you may know. He's kind of small. It's not really, but Joe Rogan is kind of a small guy. But anyway, he's super supportive of you guys.
Yeah, big time.
He has thrown some money for some fundraisers, but he's also given y'all an opportunity to do, what was it, like a funny night, a comedy night?
Yeah. He's done some shows where like he lets law enforcement come over to listen to him, some other comedy, like just have a night out. Like he's
awesome,
been awesome. A lot of the folks that are big names here in Austin, or folks that are just in general, they're supportive of police that have the ability to do something.
He's tried to
they're
come on here a
stepping
couple
up.
times. We can't
Y'all
make
just
our
keep telling
schedules
them,
work.
Yeah, you're like, hey, we got not
Bullock
quite big
coming.
enough.
Yeah, Bullock's coming on. Sorry.
Yeah, we
Take
have
a
to
back
bump
seat.
you. Have to bump you out, man. Sorry about that.
But my
one.
point is like, man, this thinking and I was guilty of it. Me being from East Texas, that everybody in Austin just hates cops, and that like, why do these people? The reality is that 99% of people in this town, they love us, and they love you guys, and they love the hard work that you guys do, because it's seen. The news stations are somewhat liberal. They're getting better.
They are getting better.
They are getting better.
I've had a lot of good conversations with them, and that's been a big part of what the year has been.
But that goes back to you, your efforts, our efforts, and other state organizations that are law enforcement that are trying to, the pendulum swinging back.
Yeah.
And we're starting to see that on a broader.
But I think the
Broader
media
spectrum.
change, you just mentioned podcast. I think podcasts are changing the way mainstream media.
Ooh, I think you're right.
And mainstream media has realized that they've gotten where no one believes them, no one trusts them.
True.
They're all liberal. No one is tuning in. And now we used to get, if there was a police shooting, we would get all these immediate requests for interviews, and they were generally looking for a gotcha, or you could tell it was already, they'd already made up their mind about the shooting.
Yeah.
And actually now, most of our media requests, they're like, hey, we just really wanted to highlight this.
Yeah.
Our requests now are friendly. I think
somewhat.
I think for the most part.
yeah, for the most part.
But I think the pendulum is swinging. That the mainstream media is really, even, and I hate to admit it, CNN is coming back towards the center.
I told him to.
Yeah.
On this podcast.
Yeah, there you go.
CNN's coming back towards center, but I think mainstream media has realized we're either going to die or we're going to have to try and figure out how to do something a little bit different. And I think the Rogans, all the podcasts that are out there, people tune in because they rather hear it from people.
Yes. I think you're right. It's been pretty interesting to see the power of podcast style and just putting out your own info instead of relying solely on these news stations, news sources where you get, 30-second, 45-second clip, whatever, when you're actually putting it out. And I actually saw firsthand, because even I, early on, was skeptical. We all talk about, we need to be more vocal.
Yeah.
We need to talk about this, to put this other info out there. But you always wonder, all right, what impact does it really have?
Huge.
Well, I saw firsthand earlier this year exactly how it works. We had a case where it was a female suspect who was arrested for child abuse. Right, she had significantly beat her infant child, and then had a twin, and the twin was dead, and so she was arrested, put in jail. Well, I got a notification that she had gotten her bond reduced and was out while they were actively there was this other case still pending, and it didn't contain things. I don't think it had anything related to preventing her from visiting the child that she had beaten and all this other kind of stuff. So I got all the info. Put it out there, right? Put it out on X, and it the response was wild, and it hit all kinds of news stations. It pushed the message out there, and then within 24 hours, the judge who was presiding over the case, not the one who dealt with the bond, but the judge who was presiding over the case, revoked the bond, and they picked her up and sent her back in jail. So we got that one undone within 24 hours of being notified about it, just because you were able to put the message out there. It resonated with people where people were like, hey, this is some bullshit.
Yeah.
There is no way this should happen. And then she wound up back in jail.
It's amazing how when you spit facts,
yeah,
you can change
people are like,
minds.
wait, what?
Yeah. When you speak facts, it's pretty easy to.
And that was what I told my guys, when I first ran for this position for the president. I told everybody, I was like, we don't need to make anything up. I don't need to exaggerate. I don't need to make stuff up. The truth is bad enough.
Yeah.
We'll just go out there and speak the truth and tell facts, and it'll do the work for us. And actually, turns out that was right.
So cameras and body cameras, the truth's all out there anyway.
Yeah, you're not hiding.
You can't pervert. You can't change. You can't screw it up. All we can do is explain what happened. And I'd rather listen to Michael Bullock explain what actually happened factually, out of his mouth and out of facts. On a podcast?
Wasn't sure that
I wasn't either. I thought I'd be talking out of my ass.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
But I'd rather hear facts from a cop or somebody at APD tell me facts than to get on and watch some newscast where a guy's reading it off a teleprompter and has no idea what a Taser 10 is or what happened, what 3 feet away from me with a knife. He has no idea he's spewing some crap off a teleprompter.
Yeah.
Has no idea. It's not sincere. He doesn't care. I'd rather hear it from the dude that knows and has an understanding of it. That's where I want to go get my facts at. And I think America is figuring that out.
I think you're right, because they're becoming, podcasts in particular, becoming a lot more popular because people do feel like you're getting it firsthand. This isn't washed through. Mm-hmm. This isn't someone's interpretation. This is the person that just has the info.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
So
and that's the reason why we started ours, is because we got tired of getting the I gotcha moments. We got tired of doing a 2-hour interview with somebody and then 5 seconds of that interview. Of course, that still happens to this day, but this is the reason why we have this platform, and we're thankful that, just a couple weeks ago, we got named in the top 25% across the world for podcasts. Wink, wink. Thank you, Clint McNair. And the number one law enforcement podcast in the nation. But it goes back to, this was built because we got tired of being pushed over.
Yeah.
And shit on.
Right.
And so now I think you're right. I think the pendulum's swinging back of people looking to this, and so now it's changing the algorithm and the views with the media that they had to look in the mirror and say, okay.
Well, and kudos to everybody involved in this, and thankful to have you come on. And Tyler posed to me a while back having Chaz on, and I was like, I don't know about that, but we're no better than CNN if we don't have Chaz come on.
Yeah.
And it ended up being one of our more viewed episodes. But
we had Thanksgiving together.
Joe Grimaldi went on CNN. They interviewed Grimaldi for like 48 minutes or something, 50 minutes on CNN.
Jeez.
You know how much
Over traffic stops.
You know how much of it they aired?
Oh, probably like what, 5 minutes?
They didn't.
Oh, they didn't. Oh, well, even better. Shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll fly to Texas and interview you for 50 minutes, but if you don't say what we really want you to say, then we just won't air it.
We're done.
Well, dude, that's censorship.
Well, that's
and having Chaz come on.
That's
I'm like, do you know what Chaz is going to say? He's like, nope. I'm like, well, shit. I guess let's
go.
I guess let's get on in here and do it. Why
Yeah.
If we don't do that, then we're no better than CNN.
Well, and the thing, too, that I think a lot of people like, because I've gotten the feedback, like we're starting to do this more internally as a way to get information out to people, is people like when it's just the conversation, like, well, you didn't edit, you didn't script this, you didn't do nothing. It's just like, hey, what you see is what you get. Like, that's it. There's no agenda there. We're just going to have the conversation. Where it goes is where it goes.
And there are podcasts out there that are successful and that I'm huge fans of that do a lot of editing, which is completely fine. Yeah. But like our style is more like raw, like literally now, like when we first started this, there was a lot of edits that went in with me improving like the video aspect of things. But now I literally drag, dump.
Yeah.
And then the outro, intro.
Yeah, ours
there you go.
Good, bad, or ugly. Ours isn't edited.
Yeah. Well,
heavy on the ugly.
Yeah. Heavy on the ugly. But anyway, yeah. So it's pretty raw.
Yeah.
And it's
like it.
Yeah, I do too. But I'm thankful for the platform to do it, and I'm thankful that people
100%.
believe into it and buy into it for you watchers out there, not the viewers and listeners. But it's been successful. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Let's talk about y'all stealing from Dallas.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
We did. We kyped almost every single leader within Dallas city management to come to Austin. And it started when it started? May. Because in May, TC Broadnax, who was a city manager in Dallas, now the city manager in Austin. John Fortune, who's one of the assistant city managers in Dallas, is now our deputy city manager.
but it started with tweets. It started with the Facebook. You recall about a year ago. There was a tweet that went out, and I believe it was from the Dallas city mayor at the time, and he said something along the lines of, y'all were going, maybe it was 2 years ago. There was a situation going on, and he said, hey, Dallas is hiring, and there was a kind of a tweet battle going. You remember that?
I think, was it between him and Kurt?
Yeah.
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 And so,
Yeah.
and so I think the flirting kind of happened there, and it just opened people's eyes down here. Look, Austin's beautiful. Like when you come
it's a
down
great
here and
city.
hang out, I mean,
Beautiful city.
aside the bullshit, the DA. But anyway, go ahead.
Watch out for the roaming zombies every now and then. Okay. Yeah. You never know.
Yeah.
Some of them are carrying machetes, hatchets, all kinds of things.
Whoa,
You got to watch out.
Those aren't deadly.
No, yeah. Well, depending
for
on
them.
who's holding them.
Yeah, that's true.
Depends on who's
But yeah,
holding
talk
them.
about who all Austin has stole
we
from the
did.
city of Dallas.
Yeah, we stole the city manager, one of their assistant city managers. Their chief is now one of our assistant city managers. Eddie Garcia is now our assistant city manager over public safety. And then they snagged a couple other folks that have been like, staff, high level staff up over in there. And I think we're probably at, I don't know, 4 or 5 now of their top echelon that are now down here.
Who would have ever thought many years ago that the assistant city manager would be Dallas's police or a police chief in general of one of the largest cities in the nation?
Well, and
it's
whoever
fascinating.
thought Dallas would have a chief that the police loved and the community loved?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The dude is a game changer for Dallas.
Yeah.
What is his exact role? I understand his title, but like the nuts and bolts, what will he be doing in Austin?
So he oversees the police, fire, EMS, and emergency management, and a couple other little divisions that are all related to public safety.
Yeah.
And so he's the boss over all of those departments. So all the chiefs report to him.
Okay.
So he oversees all of that. A little bit different role for him, obviously, because you're not just PD. You're also doing fire, EMS, and some other things. But that's his primary job is dealing with all the public safety entities and really trying to deal with what resources they need from the city, the problems that exist between just the city management side and then what the departments need.
It's a great role for him to be in.
I
He
agree.
started November 1?
First week in November. Yeah, I think November 4th was his first day.
Gotcha.
So,
I think we're going to have him on the podcast in a couple weeks.
nice.
So stay tuned for
Should
that.
should be good. I actually will say, so full disclosure, and I think it was public because TC Broadnax, who's the city manager, was the first one to come down. And it was between him and then one other contender who was the interim city manager for Denton, I think it was. And initially, like most of us, all the public safety unions, we were like, we don't know about this guy.
Yeah.
Like TC is probably not our first pick. Since he's gotten here though, like I gotta say, I'm actually so far I'm a fan. Like the guy knows how to manage, he knows how to delegate, and it seems like he's interested in actually making things work. We're not just going to do stuff to do it. We're going to do it because we need something to happen. He's about action and about fixing things is what it seems like. You know, there's always going to be problems. There's always complaints. There's always issues, whatever. Yep. But so far with all the folks that have come down here, like I kind of feel like it's good for us.
Yeah.
You know, we'll see how it goes in the long run, but I'm encouraged.
I think TC knowing and trusting Eddie,
that's huge,
is going to empower him to be able to be effective, whereas normally the only thing leadership is worried about is making sure the next person above them is happy,
right,
so they can still get a paycheck.
Yeah.
I think it's going to empower Eddie. Eddie feels comfortable, and I'm speaking completely out my ear, but knowing their relationship and it's built on trust, I don't think he would have brought him down here if he was going to have Eddie handcuffed and not being able to do things. And I'm super excited for y'all. I hate it for Dallas, my brothers and sisters at Dallas.
Yeah.
Does he got to have his commission carried through Dallas? How would that work?
I think he's just straight retired, I think.
Yeah, he did. He retired.
So he doesn't carry a gun or anything?
You'd have to ask him. If you're a retired cop and you're not carrying, I'd be surprised.
But, I was wondering if he's going to have like an Austin badge on or whatever. But
no, I mean because it's
stick around. You can pat him down when he gets here.
Oh,
that's
good.
right.
I'm good.
You better be careful.
Yeah,
might wind up fighting him. Oh,
he is a scrapper.
He is, and so I think it's going to be good. I mean, it's not a sworn position that he's in. It's just the assistant city manager is he's a
thank you for saying it professionally.
I got you.
Yeah,
okay, that's
position.
what I'm here for every now and then.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's going to be good. Oh,
we talk on here a lot about leadership, and every department is a direct reflection of the top. Mm-hmm. And Dallas suffered 3 years. My dad's retired from Dallas, and Dallas suffered for years through horrible freaking leadership, broken freaking leadership. And it's amazing. You know, Michael Jordan carried the Bulls, and it's amazing. Eddie came in and turned the department around. And there's contributing factors. Eric Johnson, the mayor up there, who switched parties, just I guess he was getting it wasn't cool to be a Democrat and actually support the police. But I thought Dallas was headed to Austin, and there was I thought it was a point of no return.
Yeah.
And Eddie came in, and the police loved him. The community loved him. He was engaged. And it's a great example that one person, leadership's a direct reflection. And
it is.
All these broken departments all over Texas can't figure out what the formula is. And it's generally toxic-ass, freaking piss-poor, incompetent leadership.
I was going to say, it's not a very complex solution. Actually.
Yeah. No, that's why I'm here, because of shitty leadership with the sheriff in East Texas. So,
yeah.
I mean, it happens.
It's crazy.
Wow. Yeah, and the number one thing, too, and it ties into a lot of the recruiting stuff as well, that I've been trying to get people to be like, hey, like if you want to solve recruiting, if you want to solve morale problems, like, take care of your people. Yeah. If you just focus on and you take care of your people, they're going to take care of you. They're going to want to be here. They're going to want to bring other people here, right? They're going to have better, productivity. They're going to want to do more. But instead, for so long, it seems like we focused on where you're just telling people what to do. Like, just go do this. Like, you're just going to do this, and then you deal with all these other issues that never get fixed, and people feel like, well, no one cares about me, so why should I care about my job type deal. And that's where you run into a lot of problems. And I do think Eddie brings the opposite, where, like, he actually is vested in taking care of people, and if he can get the city mentality to reflect that, then I think we'll really be in good
it's
shape.
Cool. Dallas is the model for their mental wellness program. Mm-hmm. And I've spent a bunch of time, Joe King and a bunch of their guys up there that are amazing. Ruben Ramirez, former assistant chief there. And empowering people is what has been a key to it. Because TC told Eddie, It's your
Go.
department. Freaking run it. Well, then Eddie turned around and called Ruben Ramirez in and said, we've got to figure out how to help our cops. Mm-hmm. And Ruben's like, well, what do you want? He's like, well, I don't know. I'm just telling you, go build a plan, run with it,
Go do something.
And now it's literally the model of the country.
Yeah.
It's called OWL, Officer Wellness Longevity. It's I've had 2 people reach out this week asking me how to reach them to get their model, steal their model.
That's cool.
Yeah. It's being used all over, but TC's empowered Eddie. Eddie turned around and empowered Ruben Ramirez.
Yeah.
Ruben Ramirez and his team developed the OWL team, and he told them, y'all run with it. Mm-hmm. Wow, what a concept, man.
Yeah.
Empower your people and turn them loose. Let's go.
Yeah, that's a big change for us. And that was one of the first things that when TC came in, that to me was a positive sign. Where like that was what he was doing. Instead of trying to be involved in everything and him running everything, he's like, no, I pick my people and I give them, the goal, the mission, the marching orders, and then they go and make it happen. And, when there's some stuff that has to be run up the flagpole, he's like, oh, then I'll get involved. I'll do what I need to. Yeah. But other than that, no, that's their job. He's like, my job isn't to do mine and theirs. It's just to make sure that everybody else is doing theirs. And I trust my people to do what I need them to do. Yeah. And I'm like, well, wow, that actually sounds like a solid leadership principle there. Like, oh, my God, I don't know what to do with this. So,
well, like we said, we're on the uphill climb, finally.
Yeah.
Austin looks like great leadership now with the city and the city management contract. We just need to work on the DA, and hopefully.
I mean, I don't want to throw the sour pill in the middle of all that, but we did elect a communist just the other day to council again. So it seems like we were doing pretty good.
Who replaced Mackenzie Kelly, right?
No, he replaced Leslie Poole.
Okay,
Leslie Poole's seat. So yeah,
well, I think a communist also replaced Mackenzie.
Well, we'll see. She's not as obvious about that one. Yeah, Krista Lane is the one who replaced Mackenzie.
Is communist too strong? Is socialist a little softer?
I don't know.
Yeah, socialist.
Maybe.
According to the Todd Nas show, she's not well.
No, it didn't help when she did post a picture with I guess he is a socialist. I should say, probably not a communist, but a proud card-carrying member of the Democratic Socialists of America.
Yes,
Mr. Mike Siegel,
a little Bernie Sanders himself.
Yeah, there was a picture with him, Kassar, and Krista Lane, who replaced Mackenzie Kelly. All like, oh yeah, we're ready to work. And I was like, oh God, great. So hopefully we will be able to work with them. Because we have been building positive relationships with council, but it's like, all right, we're making progress, doing great, and then all of a sudden Boom. It's like, oh, nope, left turn.
Yeah.
God, dang it. So,
well, we're, I have a front row seat to the shit show, and I'm hopeful and anxious, and it looks like we're kind of pulling out of it.
No, I agree. On the whole, it seems like we're making progress. We're doing a lot of good things, and it's all about building relationships and working on things one little bit at a time as much as you can. And then where you got to lob a bomb every now and then, you lob it, and you do what you got to do.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
We're talking about strong leadership. Tell us how APA standing up, going independent. It's been a big work, a lot of research and a lot on the front end, and that before even inception, before you guys kicked it off. How's that going?
Good. I started the conversation not too long after I got into the association as the president. I started looking and seeing what we were doing, seeing all the challenges that we're dealing with, seeing what solutions there are, right? Because sometimes extraordinary times call for extraordinary change. Yeah. And so we started looking at it, and that was where we realized, like, hey, we are a large organization that is based in the capital city, and we have problems that a lot of other people don't have to deal with, or that they deal with it to a little bit lesser degree. Yep. Like we all deal with in going to conferences all across the country. Like I've learned that everyone really is dealing with the same problem. It's just the severity at which you're dealing with it, really. But we all deal with the same bullshit. Yep. And so we realized that we could stand on our own. We could be independent. We could do everything that we need to, but we could custom tailor everything to where we were dealing with Austin and Travis County problems, right? Mm-hmm. And we're a large enough, even though we have a staffing crisis, we're a large enough organization that we can do everything the way we need to do it, and we can focus on everything the way we need to focus on it. And so far, we've been doing it for 3 months now, and it has been, my opinion, it's been a huge success. Right, our people are happy. We've actually, historically, about 95% of the department have been members with the APA. We made this change, went independent, and we actually picked up a few more people.
Outstanding.
And so people actually rejoined because they were like, "Hey, this is different. This isn't same old, same old. This is what we've been needing to do." Yeah. So I'll come back now. heck yeah, like that's awesome to hear. And so people are happy with the direction. They're happy with what we're doing. You know, it's still new. There's still going to be bumps in the road. There's still some learning curves, all that. But so far,
but you can lean on your partners and lean on other associations out there, and which are willing to do.
Yeah, and we actually put it to a vote. We put it to a vote with our membership, and we said, hey, this is what we're looking at doing. Are you on board with it? Yeah. And it was one of the highest turnout elections that we had.
Wow. And
we had right at 80% of the department or of the association was like, yes, this is the right direction. Let's go. And so they did all of that, which, didn't take long. We beat that vote not too long afterwards, where we had to vote for our contract. And then 90% of the department voted for the contract, or voted in support of the contract. So it's been a lot of change all throughout this year.
Well, you hit the ground running, dude. You have done phenomenal work over there. Kudos to you. And I'll say this. For people out there that think unionship and union work is easy, let me tell you something. He works just as hard as the guys and still puts in hours as a cop, beat cop, puts on a uniform, goes out there and works with their people, which is a great leadership trait. But, man, thank you for, number one, being a great friend personally and professionally, but also thank you for staying committed to the mission and staying committed to Austin.
100%. That's what it's all about.
And for our listeners that don't understand what independent means, there's associations all over the state. There's about 2,500 law enforcement agencies in Texas. Probably 80% of them have associations, local associations. Most associations are affiliated with somebody, with Tmpa or with FOP. They're affiliated with somebody. There is a few big dogs in the state. Dallas and Houston are examples. They're independent. They're so big that they don't need outside assistance, quite frankly. And probably anybody over 1,000 or 1,500, there's stand on your own. Call your own shots. You have the knowledge, the institutional knowledge, the capital. You have everything internally to manage yourself. Whereas, 12-man agencies just doesn't have the infrastructure, the capital, the time, the ability to do it. And so Austin had been affiliated with others for a while, and they're standing on their own, which gives them leadership. You wouldn't want somebody telling you how to run your own house, or you wouldn't want State Farm telling you, where you can live and what you can do and how you can handle your business.
Well, I think you hit it perfect. Is that you, Austin's different.
Yeah.
And y'all have to tailor to what Austin needs, what Travis County politics needs, and it's not a state issue.
Yeah.
And so,
and on the and the thing that sometimes I think gets lost is, just like this, right? Like we're not affiliated with TMPA,
right,
but we still have similar goals.
Yes.
We can still sit here. We can work together. We can talk about things. We can strategize things together. We can still work together.
It's stupid if we're not.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's the whole thing is like you can be independent but still be working with everybody because we should be working together.
Look at TLEC, right?
Yeah,
this could be the first time. This will be the first session that I've ever known of every single law enforcement association to be at a table for the same goal. And imagine that, right? We all get along. Put your pride aside, and let's all sit in the same. Not that y'all it was different, but it's going to be very fascinating and cool to witness that because this will be the first time it happens.
Yeah, and I think that's what we need to do.
Yeah,
right? The only way that we're going to push through all these times is for all of us to work together. It doesn't matter. Like none of this is personal. It's not. Nope. There's nothing else going on here other than. We just need to work together, and we got to do what's best for our people.
Yeah.
That's what we're working on.
The path forward for actual success that we've not ever had before, unity is the only way.
Yeah, 100%.
Wow, that was wow. Shit.
That's why he's
pretty damn impressive.
That's why he's the president.
I've got. I'm usually on ChatGPT. That was pretty damn impressive. I'm wow.
I don't even remember what I said.
Shit, me either. I'm gonna have to
it's recorded for posterity's
I'm gonna have to record that
purposes.
shit. But anyway, so dude, again, thank you for coming by. I know you're super, super, super busy. Me and Clint just kind of hang out here in the podcast room. Just do our own thing. We'll greatly appreciate you stopping by.
What did we not hit on? Anything?
Yeah, anything we missed?
I don't know. it's stuff that's coming up, right? Like we're all looking to the legislative session.
Yep.
Like that
The
convenes
y'all's
on the 14th.
podcast?
Oh yeah, and our podcast. Like we are about to launch our own Austin-based one about everything that's going on here. We're going to be launching that one in January. So January 2025 is when the APA podcast is going to hit. I haven't come up with the quippy name for it. People didn't like internally. We do little videos that are our Thursday tidbits because they come out every Thursday. I caught some shit for that one. People are like, really, you couldn't call it something else. And so I haven't come up with a quippy name for the podcast yet.
I'm
so,
your guy.
I mean,
I will send you a list.
Something.
I will send you a list.
Find me something, okay? And then I'm gonna put it to a vote. I'm gonna let all the members decide. So you better pick
that
some
way you
good
can put
ones.
it on them.
That's right. I'm gonna say it's you and them.
Yeah.
That way it's not my fault at all. Okay.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
leadership, right?
That is,
Just
pawn this shit off.
pawn off the
Pass the
liability. Yeah.
Let's do it again sometime with your permission. I would love to have you and your trophy bride on.
Okay.
And talk about not just from her aspect being married to the cop, but since she's the police also. Not many police are married.
Yeah.
Not a lot. I mean, there's 80,000 cops in Texas. It's a very small percentage.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear how y'all navigate that, not as two cops married, but also her married to the union boss, the president, and it could be interesting to hear if you guys are.
And she's got an interesting story. Like she's a badass.
She does. Oh yeah,
she
my wife
is a badass.
Yeah, she's awesome.
So funny story. When I called you, you were at some Republican
RNC.
RNC,
Yeah.
and so I'm thinking, that's badass. Austin sent him up there, and he's like, no, dude, my wife kicks ass, takes names. She's like, she was deployed with the SWAT team. And I was like, your wife is like attack. He's like, oh yeah, dude. Like, you think I run my house? No, I may run APA on the leadership side. She runs the Bullock house. So she's awesome.
Yeah, she's phenomenal. She does a lot. She does all kinds of different things. She got back into helping with jiu-jitsu training, the defensive tactics again, because she was almost an Olympic qualifier in wrestling.
Holy shit.
Jesus.
Yeah. So like I know it's like she really is. She's phenomenal. She does incredible stuff, and we have an awesome life and marriage, and we're incredibly blessed to have what we have. I'm sure she would probably have some choice words about the last year and the time commitment that it has required, because I mean it is hard.
Yeah,
right?
I
Like,
can't
it's
imagine.
a tough life to try to keep.
Well,
up
and you
with
try
all
to
of that.
disconnect, and then when you're disconnecting, you feel like you're letting people down.
Yeah.
And you don't need that on your own time. I get it, but you need it. Like you need it for yourself and y'all.
And that's the hardest part, right? Like finding that balance is super hard. I mean, but it's also a parallel to just policing, right? The easiest part of our marriage, oddly enough, was probably when we first got started and we're both working night shift.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wasn't sure that where I was going either.
Calm down. Calm down, okay?
Well, jiu-jitsu, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, no. We don't fight at home, okay? That doesn't lead to anything good. So, but no, like working night shift, you think, oh, night shift's probably rough. No, we loved it. Like, night shift was great. Night shift patrol, both of us, it was awesome.
Yeah.
So, and now it's hard, right? Like you have tough times, and it's just, I mean, that's part of it, but it's doing it together.
Well, you can, right. and I say this lovingly, like you can tell when y'all are with each other, you can just tell that y'all are married. Y'all are obviously y'all love each other, but y'all are also friends. And I think that's the key to any successful marriage is, if when you marry your best friend, man, there's going to be it's going to be great success.
Yes, 100%.
But yeah, seeing two married people smile at the same time frequently, I was like, wow, that's odd. How does that happen?
The other night,
it works out well. We give each other a lot of shit.
The other night, I literally cried myself to sleep laughing. Me and Janet were in bed, and she had said something to me that was absolutely just absurd, and so I was laughing so hard. Because she also did something else that I don't want to say on camera. It happened to be a little flashlight, and so being my high school sweetheart, dude, I was in tears laughing the whole night. But
love it.
It goes back to marrying your best friend.
Yeah, 100%. It's
Janet,
exactly
I love
what
you.
it is,
So
and it's
don't
great.
get mad at me because I just heard that on our podcast. So.
Yeah, if Michelle's on here, that'll be an interesting one. If you do that.
No, I won't put it out there like that.
Oh,
anyway, well, hey, you got an
fine.
open seat at this table. Anytime you want to jump on, anytime we can help out on anything from Tmpa standpoint, you got our number.
Yep,
I know
sure
you're
do.
slammed, so you taking some time over here, man. I truly, truly, truly appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to do it. Appreciate the invite.
Anything
again.
we did and didn't cover Texas FOP?
No, I don't think so. Spring FOP board meeting is April 11 through 13 in Wichita Falls. We've got 3 or 4 new lodges: Galveston, Texas City, North Texas Retiree Lodge, which is growing like crazy.
Yeah.
Pasadena's coming back. And we've got several other large ones that are wanting to come back now. We're growing. I intend.
That's good.
We have Miami National Conference in the summer, and I would love to walk in there instead of being the 7th largest in the state. I would love to walk in being the 6th largest.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Not in the state, in the country.
Yeah. Well, maybe we can happen.
Onward and upward, baby.
Maybe we can work towards that goal.
I like it. So.
All right. Well, this about wraps this up. The state championships are going on right now, football. So good luck to everybody that's traveling in for those. And I hope Carthage loses. Throwing it out there. So
I passed their bus this morning.
Did you really?
Yep.
Did you give them the bird?
About 7:15, Carthage was full throttle, 50 miles an hour down the interstate.
There are some towns and some programs that just succeed over and over and over again, and that is one of them. All bullshit aside, Surratt did a great job.
Hook 'em Horns beat Clemson tomorrow.
Yes. The national, I guess the college football playoffs are going on too.
Yep.
So that was a crazy. This is crazy times.
Yep, go SMU in Texas.
Okay.
And now you threw him off.
Yeah, you threw me off on that one. So hey, you guys take care, stay safe. Hey, and also have a Merry Christmas. We have not. This will probably be broadcasted or pushed out after Christmas, but right now, from my heart to yours, Clint, I hope you and your family have a Merry Christmas, and you too, Michael.
Okay, I thought it was
that
about
good?
to be forgotten.
No, was that not good? You guys take care, stay safe. God bless you, and as always, may God bless Texas. We're out.